Welcome back. I'm Lynda Kinkade. I want to go back to our breaking news where all eyes are on the White House as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and top European and NATO leaders prepare to meet with Donald Trump. They're going to take to this podium in just the next few minutes for their family photo. This is an historic meeting at the White House, and the consequential peace talks are coming as Russia continues to bomb its neighbor, launching a series of attacks across Ukraine overnight. This footage was shared by the mayor of Kyiv, which shows the moment Russian drones struck a building in the northeast part of that city. Well, the stakes for today's talks could not be higher. Ukrainian territory may be used as a bargaining chip to negotiate an end to the war that Russia started more than 3 years ago. Earlier, President Zelensky reiterated what his country needs.
From President Trump to be able to make a deal? Is it American troops, intelligence, equipment? What is it?
Everything. And really, it includes two parts. First, strong Ukrainian army. That's what I began to discuss with your colleagues. And it's a lot about weapon and then people and training missions and intelligence. And second, we will discuss with our partners. It depends on the big countries, on the United States, on a lot of our friends.
And Mr. President, are you willing to commit American troops to that NATO-like protection in order to get President Zelensky to a deal today?
Well, I don't know if you define it that way, but NATO-like, I mean, we have people waiting in another room right now. They're all here from Europe, biggest people in Europe, and they want to give protection. They feel very strongly about it, and we'll help them out with that. I think it's very important. I think it's very important to get the deal done.
Let's get more perspective from former Ukrainian Defense Minister Andriy Zagorodniuk. He is a distinguished fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center and chairman of the Center for Defense Strategies in Kyiv. Great to have you on the program. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as these peace talks unfold, Russia has intensified its military aggression, striking cities across Ukraine, leading to the deaths of at least 10 people, including children. We heard the Ukrainian president describe this as a cynical way to sabotage the peace effort. From a military perspective, what do you make of the timing of this escalation?
Russians always escalate before anything can change in the course of the war. They always want to show that they're acting from a position of strength. They always want to have the visible sort of dominance in the operational environment. And as long as they cannot achieve that in conventional manner, they act something which we basically consider as an act of terrorism, because they are throwing these two on people. Also, they know that President Zelensky is extremely negative about ceding the territories, and it's not only because he cannot do it by law, as any other leader of the democratic nation. The president cannot just give out the territory. It's just like it doesn't happen like that. But also because this war is not about the territory. This war is about the existence of Ukraine, and Russia is trying to eradicate the whole country. So what he wants to do, what Putin wants to do with those strikes, he wants to break the will of Ukrainian people and make sure that they kind of try to push president to wrong moves and accepting whatever the Russia demands.
Going into these talks, President Trump said Ukraine could easily end this war by giving up two key things, Crimea and hopes of a NATO membership. Are those demands acceptable?
I don't think they will end the war, frankly speaking. I think if we would be in a position of absolutely clearly securing the Ukraine's future, we could discuss all kinds of unconventional solutions. But the point is that we don't believe that any cessations of territory would actually lead to peace, because they would lead to the situation when Russia would show that it's gaining something, that Russia would see that there is a barrier, unstoppable barrier, unbreakable barrier for Ukraine to join the NATO community. And in this case, they would keep on going eventually, because if Ukraine ditches all the hopes to NATO, then it means that it's on its own. Question, of course, then there are about what about the security guarantees, which are currently on the table. But it's very difficult outside of NATO to provide something which is practical and which actually can stop such large army as Russian. So if we cannot enforce Russian promises in any way, these promises simply become empty, and then whatever they want in return, frankly speaking, is irrelevant.
Andriy, just as you speak, we're just looking at some live pictures from the White House now, which is the leaders of the US, President Trump, President Zelensky of Ukraine, along with other European leaders, including the leaders of NATO and the European Commission, standing for their family photo. Just talk to us about how crucial this European support is for Ukraine going into this meeting, especially considering the dressing down that President Zelensky got back in February.
It's absolutely crucial. We extremely appreciate the European support and NATO leadership support, because that brings, first of all, that brings objective common sense. So these are no longer discussions between the two sides, meaning United States administration and President Zelensky. It's a discussion about the Western community as a whole, including NATO. So we are absolutely certain that there will be a very a proper discussion there. So it cannot become personal, and it cannot become like pushing Ukraine to do something which would be disastrous at the end. Because all European nations leaders, which are currently present, they all know the situation extremely well. They have very good understanding, strategic position, and so on. So that brings us a huge confidence.
And President Trump has, of course, suggested that should this meeting go well today, he's going to push for a trilateral between the Russian leader, the Ukrainian leader, and, of course, President Trump. What, in your view, would make such a meeting a success? And do you actually think it'll happen?
I'm very skeptical personally about that. I don't think Putin will accept that, because he clearly understands what he's doing. He understands that he is committing enormous amount of war crimes every day. Well, every day, but an enormous in a totality. And so what he's going to exactly discuss with Zelensky? I mean, this is Zelensky knows what he wants, and it would be very tough to for him to stand on for Putin to stand on his position. So, frankly speaking, Putin avoids situations like that, as we have seen before, and I guess he would try to avoid this time as well. But we'll see. Trump can be very convincing sometimes, so we'll see how that goes.
Andriy Zagorodniuk, great to get your perspective from Kyiv. Thanks so much for your time. We are going to have much more on this story still to come. Stick around with us. You're watching CNN.